Hey guys, this is Hot Noob here, and this is day 2 of the game development for the codename SSG game, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so I might as well just run this, show you guys what I got. And it's slowly compiling and whatnot. And yeah, this guy here, he wanted to watch because he's a pedophile. Right, so haven't really changed much here. Basically, all I've done is I've added in particle effects. I mean, it's not the prettiest particles, but the idea was just to make it so that I could easily add particle effects in, right? It's something that the old game engine didn't have. In this game engine, I'm planning on having different objects, different object types. Like the previous game engine, every object was the same thing. So now I'm going to go back into the background here, show you guys what programming's been done or whatever. Right, so obviously I'm going to start with XML because it's already open. Basically, these are just the attributes, the properties for the particles. Direction is what what a direction is going to go into, right? Fade is how fast you want it to fade, and then speed variance is for randomizing the speed, right? We can change it to 2, and this is pixels per frame. I'm probably going to lower the frame rate from a max of 50 or 60 to around 40 or 30 frames per second, mainly because the human eye doesn't really notice those things very well, right? The difference is just between a high refresh rate screen and a low refresh rate screen. So you're only really going to notice the difference between 30 frames per second and 60 frames per second if you have a really HD computer. Performance wise, it's still good, and the frame rate is low because the GPU is being hogged by the cam recorder and TeamViewer. But okay, WTF, I don't know what the hell happened there. Okay. Right, so I have no idea what the hell happened there. There's some random little errors, loops with the particles. I don't know what's going on there with the whole CPU jumps. It's probably just because the GPU is at the max rate right now. You can't really see the GPU, right? So yeah, it's being hogged by a Jew. That's why. So pretty much here we just got the basics here. Particle width, particle height, right? That's the size of the particles. And then what I have here is the x and the y. These are the spawn points, the coordinates. And then the width, basically it will randomly launch it from the width. So random dispersions, right? So the width determines the dispersion on the x-axis, and then the height is determining the dispersion on the y-axis for the spawn points. Obviously, you can lower the particles. I don't think you need 200 there, right? The fade isn't fast enough for 200. Yeah, so you could probably leave it at only 100. Oh, yeah. It's not so great at 100. And then there's a release rate, and that's obviously how often you want it to release. So now I'm going to go into the programming aspects. Let's go with the loading. Actually, I should go to the structures first. This here is the structure for the particle effects. Basically, it's just a bunch of properties and stuff that determines the effects of the particles, and then we have the render object array, which is all of the particles. So when you create a particle effect structure, it just assigns all of these properties and whatnot. Then it uses these properties to do stuff, right? And when it's assigned, it will create the render objects. And because you're never going to be changing the render object number, right? You're not creating and deleting, which is very inefficient. You're just hiding and moving the particles. This makes it a lot more efficient, a lot lighter on the computer, and so on. That's just like particle effects 101 right there. Oops, wrong button. Yeah. So here we have an alpha property. This one took me quite a bit of time to figure out. The XNA framework for 4.0 is a lot different than 3.1, which is what I'm used to. In 3.1, apparently people are complaining about the alpha. I never had problems with the alpha, but they changed the alpha to be, I think it's like pre-rendered alpha or something like that. I can show the name of it here. Some weird name, so pre-multiply alpha or something like that. It's just a different method for alpha. Okay, what's he want? I can't tell because he spams so much. So yeah. Let's go to the updates. The update function is pretty much where it updates the movements, right? It's a pretty, it's heavy, but that's because it's, it's particle effects. You can't do particle effects. Oh, you can't barely understand you. Doesn't that mean you can understand me? Because you use can't? Jeez, man. So anyway, this is just the basic math. If you don't know anything about particle effects, this is nothing new, right? I used an array here, dead particles, to make it a lot faster for finding the particles that, obviously are done, right, that are finished. No. The random Jew or whatever, the racist Jew wants to scream. So yeah, as you can tell, I'm going to open this up again. I've added frames per second here, right, just up on the top. That's really simple. I'll show you the map behind it because it's a lot easier to understand, right? So basically I have a separate thread that does the frames per second. Okay. Oops. I want the function, not the thread. Come on. Okay, it must be in the draw. Yeah, so here's the FPS thread. Basically, it's just one big loop. It sleeps for 1,000 milliseconds, which is 1 second, and then it sets the FPS to equaling the frame amount. And every time the draw function here is called, it adds 1 to it. I mean, it's pretty simple. One of the things I don't like, I'm planning on changing this. I'm planning on adding an actual object, like a special object, to determine when to render the particle effects, because right now it's always going to be on the top layer. So I want to have it. I want to give it the ability to render the particle effects on different layers, so you can render it in the background and stuff, right? So you don't have to have it all over the place, right? So you can put your mouse above it or whatever, right? Just so you can have like background fog or something like that. Particle effects on their own for this game is actually fairly useless. I just added in because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna add particle effects. And that's pretty much it for the updates. I didn't actually spend too much time on this. I mean, like, I didn't add a lot to it. It's just the particle effects, right? And whatnot. Alright, so that's pretty much it. You guys can come check out my blog at hotnoob.com, and the usual crap, right? If you guys are interested in alpha testing or whatnot, you guys can check out my forums. I've moved them. I've decided to go with PHBB because it's just a lot easier for me to manage, so, rather than my own custom forums and shit. So, yeah. Just hotnoob.com/forums. Go into the CodeName SSG section and post up an application or whatever if you guys want to do alpha testing or whatever. I mean, I'm planning on releasing this for beta testing in a month, so, gotta be real crazy to want to alpha test. Anyway, see you guys later.